I'd like to think part of the recognition is the fact that Jupiter has achieved quite a bit over the last 25 years as a South African born and bred agency that is deliberately not aligned to any of the global networks. And in fact, today, it's very encouraging that there are a number of independent agencies that are actually very good in South Africa that have chosen to go the same way. It's not necessarily the easiest choice to decide to build an agency without any sort of global network backup or support. When you pitch, you kind of pitch with what you have. And you're going up often or sometimes against the might of a giant multinational agency network. So there is a challenge to that, but having said that, it's also exceptionally rewarding when one gets it right. Go with this work, because I thought that was great advice, and sometimes they have, more often than not they have. I've said to clients, don't go with safe work, because safe work is the riskiest work of all, because it runs the risk of going unnoticed. So I also sometimes say to clients, just remember, you're actually not my client. You're too invested. You know, when you have an accident and you go to hospital and your parent's a doctor, they're not allowed to operate on you. And you need a certain amount of detachment. So, you know, sometimes I'll say to a client, if the client is, you know, being quite defensive about something, I say, you know, you've got to just understand that not everybody that's watching this ad is in your mindset. You know, they don't think this is the biggest thing that's happened to them this week. In fact, on a scale of 1 to 100, it's probably about -4 or 5. So we've got to, you know, we've got to seduce, we've got to talk to them in a way that is witty or irreverent or it's humorous. We've just got to try and win them over. We've got to make them want to buy you because they like you, not because you're trying to ram product information down their throat. We had a client called the CSIR, and I persuaded them to run a series of ads of famous world successes. The line was a quote from Einstein. It said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." But I chose to demonstrate it with Donald Campbell, who's one of my heroes, who broke the land and speed records. And then I chose the Apollo 11 mission, and then I chose Thomas Edison, and then I chose Howard Hughes. And I thought, you know, when I think back to what the CSIR actually does, and it's an amazing organization, it's incredibly clever with technology and inventions, and why on earth would I take examples from outside South Africa when you've got an organization within South Africa that is so good? And now when I see people trying to ride on the coattails of somebody or something else with their advertising, I get a bit irritated, because maybe I've just been in the business too long, but it seems to me a bit of a cheap shot, you know, to say, oh, because these people did that, we agree with them, or oh, well, they believe that, so do we. It lacks a certain amount of authenticity. I've stopped talking about creativity, because next to love, it's probably the most abused word in the English language. And you know, there's so much baggage associated with creativity. If you say to a client, oh, our agency is a creative agency, we believe in creativity, you know, you just wait for the eyeballs to roll heavenward. But if you actually say what do we do when we do things at our best, we are in the business of innovative thinking. That's what we do. And innovative thinking is something that no organization in the world can do without. Because and you know, one of the great things, there's a thing about, you know, how many people does it take to change a light bulb? How many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? One, but the light bulb's really got to want to change. How many creative people does it take to change a light bulb? Does it have to be a light bulb? And that's because creative people ask questions all the time, and that's one of the great advantages for an organization in having creative people on their team. There has never been a greater need for people to be able to bring into their organizations fresh and innovative thinking.